Hi, everybody. Welcome to Habitat Now. My name is Aaron Shea, and I'm super honored to have you all join us today. I'm honored to have Josh Davids and Ekin Aytac join us today and talk about their newest body of work. We did a Zoom with them earlier this year, and we had a chance to get a glimpse into their studio, but now this is their first solo exhibition, and I'm super excited because they have some amazing things to show you guys. They have 3 bodies of work you'll see. 2 of them are brand new. And it is an amazing thing to see what they can come up with. And they've been working very hard during this strange time, keeping focus. So I'm super excited to show you guys. I'm going to talk about them real quick. Ekin and Joshua are a collective husband and wife team of artists working in glass, hailing from Dermot. I'm trying to pronounce that right. Is that right?
Yes.
Turkey and Colorado, respectively. This dynamic duo draws from a unique combination of culture, heritage, and experience to elicit profound expression in new works of glass of art. They have lived, traveled, and created artwork together since 2014 and are currently enjoying a team as a resident artist in a nonprofit glass studio in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The signature body of work is called Cityscapes, and it's a sculptural exploration offering reflections on the nature of self as it relates to the places and things that shape our experience, drawing on both modern and ancient mythos, as well as meditation and a casual relationship between set and setting. The artists weave a new visual tapestry of form, light, and color. Glass is a unique medium because both of its elements in nature are inherent in optic qualities such as refraction, dispersion, transmission, and reflectivity, which speak directly to the movement of light within a material. In these series, traditional vessel forms are manipulated to unconventional objects used to evoke landscapes viewed from a unique perspective. A variety of hot glass color applications, diamond cutting, and sand engraving coalescence, and together represent a visual rhythms of a world we inhabit together. And you'll see this Cityscapes body of work also has 2 more series we'll talk about, which is Transparency and Sophia escapes my mind at the moment. What's the third body called, guys?
Sophia.
Sophia. Thank you, guys. So I'm going to take over all your screens real quick, and I'm going to show you a little bit of the intro, and then Josh and Ekin will take over. Give me 1 second to share my screen. Let's share. All right. So welcome again, everybody, to Habitat Now. I'm going to move my screen over so I can see what I'm doing. And again, I'd like to thank the artists for being here today. Thank you guys so much. I also want to thank everybody for participating in with Habitat over the break with us, joining us for these Zooms. Everybody from Habitat is super grateful, and all the artists in our Habitat family. So thank you guys so much. So I'm going to kick it over now to you guys. I'm going to stop sharing. You guys can join in and take over, and we'll be talking about their work right now.
Why did it stick there?
Of course.
1 second, sorry guys. We had it all set up and it just jumped somewhere different. Thank you for the intro, Aaron, and thank you all for joining us. Again, we want to say thank you so much to Aaron and the Habitat team for putting all this together, not just for us, but over the course of these last several months. It's been a very strange moment in time, and
it's a great way to bring everybody together.
Yeah. So Aaron kind of gave our initial artist statement. We'll try to start with a little bit of that concept and narrow it down into a rehash of our process. And then we'll jump into the catalog and we'll talk about the new work that we have for you guys.
It's great.
All right. So conceptually, we really like the cityscape. So on the left here, actually, let me start there. There's a print from the artist.
We're not seeing your screen, guys, yet. We're seeing your faces, so you might want to share your screen.
Go back.
There you go. We're seeing something now. All right, click the play button. You should be good to go. All right.
Talking about concept, on the left here, there's an a print from the artist William Blake. And he's one of my very earliest influences as I started making. And this print is titled Newton. So the person in question is kind of form of Isaac Newton. And if you can see, he's sort of drawing with the compass a rounded or curved part of a sphere and a triangle. And what he's talking about here is perception, and how the things that we do, the things that we look at and are focused on, begin to shape ourselves. So that curve that he's drawing on this paper there is actually the same curve that is in his back, and it's actually sort of delineating himself from the more natural, free-flowing background. And so this is sort of the causal relationship, I think, that we talk about between set, which is the mindset or the perception, and setting, the more natural world or reality itself.
On top of everything, when we're sharing our conceptual understanding, I come from the moment where I am influenced by the nature and the being in the moment more. And in the image on the right, that you can see what I wanted to show you, what I'm talking about a little bit more. It is the perspective of the viewer and us, every single one of us, and the being one with the universe. It is how you perceive. It's again about perception and the reality, but the feeling of how our size and the actually what we feel is our universe, how big it is, but it is actually how small in the reality.
Yeah, and just one other kind of quick aside, I think it's super interesting how the majority of what we know about humanity going back through history, we learn from not written or accounts, but we learn it from the places that we've inhabited. And these kind of translate into the urban spaces that we live, the cities, the cityscapes.
And, these are some examples of our influenced pictures, images. We love looking at the cityscape photography. You can see some of the colors, some of the rhythm and lines, and some of the patterns that we use in our pieces.
Yeah, so that sort of forms the conceptual background and also a visual inspiration. So we're looking at these things, we're thinking about this a lot. And it sort of moves into these forms. And what we've done is we've taken these ideas and these, I guess, this imagery, and we've begun to sort of abstract it. And that abstraction sort of frees us up a little bit in how we're able to express some of these ideas. And it frees it from being just a cityscape or a specific skyline or anything like that. And it allows us to use this color and pattern to evoke new sort of ideas, emotions, and allow people to make their own connections rather than just sort of force feeding what we think.
We can jump into the
So glass, I think, as a material is super important to what we're doing. I think, for me, and I think for Ekin as well, it really brought us together, the craft of the material, and blowing glass specifically, just because it is so engaging and exciting to participate in. But as a material, and in sculpture and in fine art, I think it's on the forefront of what's possible. That it can be. So go ahead.
We started working together just very simply because we were excited to share our knowledge and in the craft and bring that teamwork together, just exploring the limits of glass making. So in this slide, we're trying to show how we start our sculptures. So we pick our colors, design our imagery, and then pick up these color bars, turn them into color cups. And we're using some traditional techniques like color fading, stuff cups.
And so, yeah, in our first Zoom, we talked a lot more about our process. We're just kind of giving a quick rehash if you didn't join us then. This is the stuff cup process. So by layering colors this way, we can really control where each color is in the glass. And that becomes really important when we start cutting back through, because then it reveals different layers, and it allows us to make some really incredible combinations that you can't get normally. So once we add our color, we've got all the cups on there. We then blow the piece up into a large bubble and flatten it into this coin-shaped disc. So again, the interior is hollow, and the exterior shows all those colors sort of blended together, and that is the hot process.
On the left, you can see the final project that just came out of the annealer. This is the last moment that we are in the hot shop. We take this blown object into the cold shop, cut the edges, give them the pattern that we want. We call cityscapes. And then on the right, the next step that shows how we mask the surface and get it ready for sandblasting.
So yeah, Ekin and I were kind of going over this last night, and as we were talking, I thought it was super interesting how the most dynamic aspect of our making process, which is the glass blowing, where we're in the studio moving around quite a bit, and really active and engaged and working together, it ends up creating a pretty static object, which you can see on the left there. It's just these round disc lollipop shaped objects. But then when we go into the cold shop, which is a more static process, we're taking a lot of time designing, looking at things, and it moves really slow. That's what really reveals that dynamism in each piece. So it's kind of like the polar opposites, and it really adds so much into the works.
Yeah, I agree. It adds the level of refinement, taking two processes and making exactly what you want. And you guys have mastered this. It's amazing to see what these lollipops turn into.
Absolutely. So the designing process, we're influenced a lot by patterns in architecture and historical things. You can see some arabesque patterns on the left and how they translate into the piece arabesque on the right. Also nature and places that we've been, or things that have left kind of a profound mark on our minds, really bleed into the objects that we're making. All right, so that's our slide, and we're going to jump over to our digital catalog.
Get rid of that.
They have a catalog posted up on Issue. We're going to send to everybody. You should have a copy of it in your email. And they're going to talk about their bodies of work that are in the actual catalog celebrating this exhibition. I luckily had these two design it and get it done and put it up online, and I'm so impressed with this body of work. I'm so excited about it that I'm eager for you guys all to see. You guys might want to minimize your PowerPoint and then show us what's going on next.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm sorry. The the PDF just failed.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course, just in time.
Exactly. Everything works, and then we go to display it, and it doesn't work.
All right, we were in a Zoom meeting yesterday practicing, and I could see them, but Zoom completely froze. So inevitably, if you guys want, I have it up too. I can always show it if it doesn't work on your end.
Can you see the catalog now?
Nope, we're still seeing end of slideshow, click exit. So you got to click the exit on that program. Thank you, guys.
1 second, guys. Sorry, bear with us.
There we go.
All right.
All right, now
We'll
on this.
pull it to full screen. All right, and we're back.
and
Cool.
we're in business.
Thank you
Yes.
for waiting.
All right, so this is, again, our full spread. This is available. I think Erin sent it out in the Zoom link. This is kind of our artist statement, us at work in the shop. And then we're going to start by talking about our kind of initial series, or the one that started this all, and this is Cityscapes, Strings Between Us. This first piece right here is titled Lotus, and this is actually the only piece from the series that wasn't available or seen before.
Okay.
Yeah, so this didn't get it up on Glass 48. It's very new, and we've used these. It's kind of it's a very blue green into a warmer green underneath a very kind of vibrant neon
Powder on the outside.
surface. Yeah.
We are using some natural patterns in each side of the piece that you can see both sides here. Like we said before, there's no one face to this, or front or back to these pieces, so this is showing both the faces in this slide.
Yeah. And then here is a kind of the works that are still available that were on Glass 48.
Still in the Strings Between Us series.
Kind of go
Except for that top right one is sold, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Never mind.
not available anymore.
Good news. Arabesque, again, you guys saw a little close-up of this detail.
that was the one you guys blew at Flint, right?
Exactly,
Yes,
yeah.
Very
this
cool.
is the first one, or one of the pieces that we made in Flint Institute of Arts, and we brought it home and finished it up.
Yeah, and so in this series, or what the series means to us, we jumped in and we started making these cityscapes. We had this concept, we had the form, these cut bubbles, and we started making them, and we went pretty wild. We saw all this color and
all the opportunities that we could make with this idea. We could add, we could change, and it just blew our own minds.
I think as we were working, through the pandemic, after our initial Zoom, we sort of started to realize that there was just so much opportunity to develop new visual languages or systems that there's no way that we could actually encompass it all in one series. So that's why we started changing a little bit and focusing on what you guys are going to see coming up with the transparency in Poliosophia.
So there's pieces of everything that we are going to focus. We already started, but we'll be focusing on in the future too, in this main series that we call Strings Between Us.
And this was Atlantis, the one that is no longer available.
This is El Dorado. It's yellow and to warm red. This is one of the pieces that doesn't have another layer of color outside, but there's two different textures of surface on the entire piece.
Again, this is a little bit smaller, but very exciting dynamic patterning that creates a lot of visual interest and intrigue, and the colors are incredibly strong.
Yeah, they're similar size, very, very nice coloring, dusk. These smaller pieces are super easy to see anywhere in placing too. I would like to just add that there.
And then this is kind of the final piece that we have left available in the string series. It's titled Persepolis, and something we've a little bit glossed over. What we do, or conceptually, the sort of titles and the forms, the colors, they all sort of bleed together and become important and help tell a story. And
there's a little bit of Persepolis, the burning cities, his story in this piece. you can see the red and actually very burning hot, vibrant red underneath, and the blue, cool, kind of older, textured city on the surface. We were thinking about this. The Persepolis when we were actually working on this piece.
And I think the contrast itself really sets this piece alight. It's really nice. And like I said, this is the last piece that we're going to talk about in the string series. So maybe we can take a pause and answer some questions. And while we're doing that, Aaron will give you back the screen. We can load up our first video. Oh, Aaron, I think you're muted.
Go ahead and stop sharing if you
All right.
want to, and I will take over the screen again and show the video. Make sure my audio is set to play.
All right. Any questions from anyone at the moment?
Computer sound. All right, guys, I'm getting lots of comments that people are impressed with your work already, so I'm eager for them to see what's coming next. So here is the series called Transparency, and we're going to play this video now. That's great. That was excellent, guys. I'm very impressed. I'm going to stop sharing, give you guys back control. Feel free to unmute yourself. I'm very impressed. Some of those pieces I want.
Yeah, and we really like the video because it gives us the sort of opportunity to show you how these things operate in space. You know, they're not just this two-dimensional object. You know, they change and move, and there's so much to them as you kind of
move around them.
Yeah, they definitely take space, and they change as you move through it.
We love taking the pictures for the catalog or anything, but every time we take a picture, we take a video of the piece too in the same lighting, and to show you guys how they actually, what Josh was talking about about the piece.
This is our new series, I guess, and I do have to say the Cityscape strings between us is kind of complete. We're not going to do any more additions to that series, and right now we're focusing on this new line of Cityscapes, which is Cityscapes Transparency. And you kind of talked about how the previous series was building our visual language or repertoire, and you know, this, I think the transparency is something that we started seeing a little bit in that work, but we really wanted to dial it up and see a lot more. So we worked really hard to preserve some of the natural transparency of this blown glass. And you can really see how the two faces interact with each other.
Really focusing on the elements of glass being transparent and how it reflects, how it reacts in the light. And now we have two faces of the pieces that we can actually use this power of glass and show.
Piece is titled Tower and Rose, and it's a kind of quick reference to Stephen King novel that we've been listening to for the last several months as we've been working. This piece you might have seen in our last presentation. It was the very first transparency experiment or first entry into this series. It's titled Flora, and you know, again, we've used this super lush green and a nice floral or natural pattern. And it really, you can see that interaction between the two differing sides. Kind of think like what happens when, you know, we stop building or when we're not around and that nature starts to take back, or just, you know, working more sustainably and naturally, natural cityscape.
This is aqua. We used another natural pattern on one side, and used our signature cityscape pattern on the other side, and the cityscape side is intentionally left more transparent, so we can see this effect that nature actually reflecting and taking over again. The power of nature in our urban life.
So we have a quote here, and it says, "With color, one obtains an energy that seems to stem from witchcraft," which was from one of our favorite artists, Henri Matisse. We're, you know, very, I guess, cognizant of a lot of what other artists have done. And, you know, I think glass is one of those mediums, going back to why we operate in glass, that presents opportunities for exploration that no other material really does. And, you know, the way it deals with light, which, you know, translates to color, is phenomenal. And I think these transparency pieces really encapsulate that. Another couple views we've got. This one is one of the few, or actually one of the only ones that isn't centrally located. So we have
the pattern is.
Yeah, and you can see during that interaction, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but you know, we have sun, earth, and moon as it reflects or shines through the piece.
Yeah, that was very interesting to see that one. It's totally different, but it's very exciting to see your talent and what you guys can do.
Very nice colors too. And this is very different, another very different piece too. It's called Midnight Storm. We've used really poppy colors on the inside, yellows and reds, and then very dark blue on the outside. When we carved through, we thought we gave it an the energy, the electricity, the power, so you can see the power of the color of the glass and all the elements that we have been talking about, the transparency.
Yeah, and we're again really excited or playing with the contrast between interior colors and what's on the exterior, and really working on moving patterns and light through these pieces.
People have asked me what the average weight of your piece is. Would you kind of give an idea?
They're very light. I'd say between 2 and 5 pounds for the heaviest.
Very manageable. Great.
Yeah, it's because we're, you know, again, blowing them, so the interior is all hollow, and we do get these pretty thin, you know, where we have our base is generally between 1.25 inch thick, but everywhere else is on the definitely or smaller side of that scale. A little bit bigger than a 1/4 inch, but yeah. So this piece is titled Elysian Fields. We've got this.
Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and mute somebody. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we've got this really, really nice, warm olive green that fades into a very cool, soft, I wouldn't say blue,
So
but soft green, yeah. And I think, in this one, we're playing with a really optical pattern, so it enhances that color fade and throws your eyes around this whole piece. It creates a really strong energy. And again, that's sort of what we're dealing with, or what we're
After?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
All right. So, are there any
questions
questions
so far?
about this transparency? This sort of ends the new additions to the transparency so far.
I got a question from an audience member, Suzanne. What percentage of the work doesn't reach the finale point or is lost in process?
Very small so far, I would say.
Well, kind of. It's tough. So there's many failure points along the way. So as we're making cups, things drop on the floor, or maybe they get too thin or cold, so they snap there. We don't really count those. But at the moment, we're probably around 75 to 80% of things. Earlier on, when we were working in the string series, figuring out how we do these saw cuts all freehand, I think the failure rate was a lot higher. But the more we're in the studio and figuring out our machinery and how our process works, the easier it's gone on our.
That's great, guys. You're able to perfect like that.
I want to add, also we reuse the broken pieces too, because they're mostly annealed glass. So we don't throw anything away. We keep them and we turn them into jewelry. We didn't spend a lot of time actually finishing up the jewelry series, but we have the glass, and when we have time, I can stand up this way.
Gotcha. That's fun.
We will work on these a little bit more.
That's great, guys. All right, I will take over the screen again and start showing the next video. If you guys want to stop sharing, I should have this all queued up. So let's go to Collective, and we'll show you guys the next video on the next body of work we're real excited about. And if this thing would go to the next screen. Looks like I went too far. There we go. Let's give it a whirl. Impressive, guys. Wow, I'm looking forward to hearing about these works. So I'm gonna stop sharing and get over back to you guys. Here we go.
All right, are we back on ours?
We're back on ours.
All right. So yeah, we're really excited to share this kind of limited series with you guys. Mostly, or not mostly, but first of all, it's very very personal to us, and I think a lot of it stems from actually our first Zoom meeting. So as we were kind of talking about that with Aaron and amongst ourselves. The idea was to kind of introduce ourselves to you guys and the Habatat family, because we are fairly new. I mean, we're incredibly new, and so we started talking about, like how we came to Glass and how we began working on this stuff together, and really creating this collaborative and collective process. So Polya Sophia is Old Greek for, or Greek meaning old wisdom. And it takes its kind of inspiration from the Hagia Sophia, which is located in Istanbul. Yeah. And, for me, Istanbul is, as far as cities go or cityscapes, is a really, one of those places that left an incredible mark on me as a person. Just the sheer size of it, the history there. It was really an incredible place to be and feel and smell. And I think it's also an incredible metaphor, I guess, and the Hagia Sophia itself for what we are. And that's sort of a eastern.
East to west.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived in Istanbul for long years. I studied, worked, and loved living there. The city is incredible. It's very overwhelming with all the layers of culture and everything it has. And we had to just play over this idea of or the inspiration from the city. When we talk about the Hagia Sophia, the history of this architectural building is also just like Istanbul. It's maybe very nice symbol of Istanbul that has really long history. It changed from Byzantine to like when it was Christian, so it used as a just have me there.
So yeah, I think what we're saying, the city itself and the building again being an example of that. So it was originally conceived as the high seat of the Eastern Orthodox Church, and then over, and that was almost 2,000 years ago it was first built, and then over time, over the last 2,000 years, it changed hands into Islamic, Ottoman, then Latin Christian, and then modern Turkish. So there's just these different cultures and oftentimes clashing cultures, but they've come together, and this building itself is an architectural marvel. And I think these pieces, what we've tried to capture is not just that, but also kind of our influences in glassmaking and in art. So
the building you're referencing, is that the Palace Sophia building? Is that how
the Hagia Sophia?
Hagia Sophia. Thank you.
Yes, which means it translates into high wisdom or holy wisdom.
Okay.
And so the title of this series is sort of a takeoff on that, is Polya Sophia, which means old wisdom.
Gotcha.
And so in these pieces, we have a lot of cane work, which is derivative of the Venetian tradition. But this kind of cane technique is also very indicative of the more American interpretation of that Venetian cane technique. So it has a lot of high energy and definitely random patterns. Also, the sandblasted patterns are, again, calling back to a lot of the geometric pattern that you find in Islamic art. And then, you know, I think one of the most exciting things about the work that we're producing is those cut cityscapes, cut lines. And we really wanted to highlight that aspect because it creates such a dynamic piece. And so we kind of, again, looking back at both Islamic gilding techniques as well as, you know, Byzantine icon paintings. And we went in and hand gilded these edges, which was a great idea. But then it took us weeks and probably some severe back problems to do it.
You said there's a certain amount of material used per piece, like 50 something.
Yeah. So yeah, we got these 3/8 inch rolls of gold leaf, and they come in 60 feet rolls basically. And so I think this Sultan or Padishah, which is Turkish for Sultan, this is the largest one, and that one used up pretty much a whole roll, so about 60 feet of this 3/8 inch gold leaf.
And maybe 3 days, 3 nights so far.
More than that. And then, yeah, so each piece has roughly between 35 and 60 feet of gold leaf to get all the edges.
Gotcha.
And I think it makes this really incredible weight, so that the pieces themselves are pretty light and airy, and you can see through them, but then that gold leaf really grounds them, and it gives it that weight.
Majesty. Another white color we've used. There's similar cane work and that we used on the last one, Padishah. Another Arab Islamic geometrical patterning.
And yeah, this one, again, a little bit smaller. It's about 14.5 inches. You know, we're really excited about the pattern, and we also kind of up the ante a bit as far as our color application. So there are several different cups of this white. It's like a milky white on the inside to give it the sort of color fades that we're getting here. And then on top is a nice alabaster cane that we've cut through. So also these cane patterns are very seemingly random and energetic, and then the cut pattern kind of delineates that, and the play between the cane and the sandblasted pattern is really exciting and creates these beautiful pieces.
Got another quick question for you. In this body of work, do the cut edges still represent cityscapes?
Yeah, you know, I think it's a very abstracted cityscape, and the pieces themselves become quite abstract. So that's a nice reference point to begin understanding them. But I think what this does is it creates these super dynamic and energetic lines that, you know, kind of transcend that just a little bit. But then it does give you a reference point in how to look at and ways to view these. And that, you know, I think these two work very nice as a diptych. And this is another quote from a Moroccan scholar. Just something nice about traveling, that it leaves you speechless and turns you into a storyteller. And I don't think, you know, I think that's super true. You know, the more you see, the more you experience, it kind of, it opens your mind and allows you to see things and tell things from new perspectives. And that's what this work is really about.
Icon is 14 inches by 14 inches. It's now we're using different colors. There is a gold and black in the interior with some cane work. Cane work is black too.
I think these things are really incredible in how they change with the light. So there's a lot of light coming into this, which really highlights that gold, both in the piece and the gold leaf on the edges. But also, you know, in dimmer light, the sort of neutral gray or black does sort of creep down into the gold a little bit more. And you'll see in this next one, no, not that one. You'll see in Dynasty, which is 2 more down, how that light really affects or changes. So we'll go.
Aaron?
Yeah, the one behind Aaron. This one, Empire. Again, the same thing. It's a very neutral gray into a little bit more dull, subdued gold. Again, it creates this really subtle color shift, and the cane pattern is really incredibly energetic and pronounced in this. And then here is the Dynasty. You can see on the left there, that kind of lower light. It really, you know, the sandblasted pattern becomes the super stone-like and really prevalent. You can really see that sand carved pattern, and the gold really, really shines. But in highlight, then that cane pattern takes prominence, which you can see on the right, and it creates this really super energetic, really exciting,
like drawing like texture.
Very much so.
It's beautiful, guys, really beautiful.
And again, they do work well as a triptych, we think. And I believe that is the end of our slides.
Thank you, guys. Feel free to stop sharing your screen so we can see your faces fully. And got a question from the audience. I will ask right now, since we're starting a question answer anyway. At what point do you add the cane? Is it the last level of application?
Yeah, so what we do, just like the color, we make a cup, a stuffed cup of the cane. And for the majority of them, yeah, it's good to show the stuffed cups. You can see right here.
You gotta share your screen again, guys.
Sorry.
Keep going.
All right, so what we do is we make a stuffed cup with the cane on the very surface for the majority of them. Are we sharing the screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, cool. So the one on the right there, you can really pick up some of the cane detail, and that sits on the outside, so that when we carve back through, the carving should actually interrupt that moving cane pattern, which sort of separates it, and again adds that extra element. So it sort of disguises a little bit the actual pattern of the cane, and it deconstructs it a little bit. And I think what we're doing generally is a deconstruction of a blown glass bubble.
That's great. I wanted to let everybody know that I shared their artsy presentation in the chat. I'll be sending this to you all via email so you get an idea of what work's available and pricing. These are unbelievable works, and I'm super honored to have you guys do this exhibition with us here at Habatat. And if anybody has any more questions, this would be the time. We've done rather well. The first time we showed their work was early this year in Sarasota before the world fell apart, and we did really well. We sold mostly out of the show, so I'm very excited about these 2 bodies of work that we can show you guys today. So thank you guys again.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining us, and Aaron, thank you so much for having us.
Gotcha. Any more questions, guys, or else we'll cut it off. But thank you again for joining us here. We'll see you next week for the next Zoom. It's going to be a great one as well. You guys have really got this thing down, this Zoom thing down. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys again real soon.
Awesome.
All right, I'm here available. If anybody has any questions on pricing of these works and availability, just contact me anytime. Talk to you all soon, and be well. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Feel free to mute yourself. Say goodbye. Bye, guys. Thanks again.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you, guys.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye, everybody.